is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 78. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined as always by my good buddy. It's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Micho, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Easter Damas, a.k.a. Papio Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Joey Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. Not the smoothest of intros this time around, but it hasn't been the smoothest of days here in the Austin FC universe. The fallout continues from the Diego Fagundez trade. We will, of course, talk all things Diego. We've got an FC2 match to preview, and, of course, Leagues Cup, the knockout rounds begin tonight. We've got some Leagues Cup bet to make later on in the podcast, but Eve, how are you feeling here today? Maybe like separating the Austin FC stuff from the rest of your life? What's been going on?
Well, I mean, I guess I would probably say the Austin FC stuff is going better than the rest of my life.
Oh, shit. Well.
So, yeah, you know, it's a hot day. There's a lot of chatter in all the spaces, all of the nooks and crannies of the Verde fanhood here. And, you know, that's always interesting and can be disappointing, but also uplifting at the same time.
Depends on where you look.
Yeah. So, I mean, a bit of an emotional hangover from what was a wild card pulled on us yesterday here. But got Muchi Jite out a little earlier. So hopefully he just keeps on napping and I won't have to put up with him and nobody will have to put up with him throughout the course of the pod here. But yeah, you know, I don't know how many times we're going to bid farewell to Diego and, you know, but we'll do our best that we can here. And I'm excited to look back fondly on all of not all of, but many very high points from his tenure here at Austin FC and remember him as the player that, you know, we always loved and cherished and everything that he brought to the organization.
Yeah. So we'll certainly do that. We'll talk through some of the other talking points that have been going around with the fan base this morning, like you said, on various platforms. So I guess let's start here. Let's start on the high note. Kind of like you mentioned, like remembering some of the best moments of our fandom so far that have included Diego Fagundez. So we wanted to do like a top five. Mm-hmm. And this is our top five, right? So, like, if you are listening, I think we'll probably put this out on Twitter and Instagram as well, like our top five. Let us know what you would include, because this is just our own personal. Like, we talked through it before the podcast, had a couple debates about how to rank these. But yeah, man, there are a lot more than five that we tried to sift through, and it was not easy to narrow it down. So I guess we could mention some honorable mentions here to start, right? I guess this is one that I brought to the table, and then I know you had one. We have one in our top five from a match against FC Dallas, but you also brought up a separate one that was in a different Dallas match. The one that I want to start with was against LAFC, the 4-1 blowout at home last year. There's, I mean, almost only good memories from that night. But one that I brought up was the assist to Maxi on the third goal. When you look at the end line camera angle and the replay, especially in slow motion, when Diego releases that pass through like 3 LA defenders, and there's just like this smile that comes across his face because he knows that shit is perfectly weighted right through those guys, right onto Maxi's foot for the third goal. So that was one that I had kind of in the mix, didn't make the top five, but was a good memory for me. And again, we couldn't see that live. That was like an extra bonus coming home and watching those highlights, I don't know, 14, 15 times after that match. Mm-hmm. That one stood out to me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a great one that kind of like embodies Diego entirely because, you know, it's an unselfish play, the right play to get this ball onto Maxi, and it's an absolute dime, which fits the mold for most Diego passes that lead to a nice goal. And then to get the smile on his face, and that embodies who he is as an individual with, you know, just the joy of playing and seeing something through that, you know, other people couldn't see it in the moment, but just knowing like you're good enough, and this is about to get a goal here for us. So yes, I love that one. For me, I had his first goal, or not his first goal, his goal versus FC Dallas in the 21 season. Yeah, I believe it was in July, late.
So that was actually, sorry to interrupt, just because I remember it was like right around Halloween. It was the second to last match of the season.
Oh, that's right.
And or maybe not even the second to last match of the season, but it was the final like Copa Tejas matchup of that year. And I just remember I was at Hop Squad with AB, and we had costumes because we were going to some Halloween stuff after. But nice. I remember sitting there in a Batman costume with my Verde and black kit on, and standing up and freaking out at that goal. So sorry.
I thank you for correcting me because I got it confused with one of the many other highlights that we went through there. But yeah, it was the day before Halloween. It's a 3-1 loss to Dallas there in the first year. But it's just a hell of a strike. Puts it where nobody could get it, upper 90, curls it, just a beautiful shot. And it was actually the goal that put it. I mean, we were up 1-0 with that shot. So that was in there for me. And I wanted to include, some 21 stuff just to try to summarize the lasting impact he's had here with this club, and everything he's done throughout the inception of our team here up until this point yesterday. So I thought that was a hell of a goal, and one that I really just loved seeing in person, or not in person, on TV there, and just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that was one of the goals for me, and I know I'm sure there were some earlier in that season that gave other people a similar feeling, but like that was one of the goals that I remember from that dismal first season where it was like, man, we have like, that's one of our dudes, right? Yeah. Like we don't have a ton of guys that can hit that shot, and Diego was one of them. I guess the last honorable mention I would bring up was also from that LAFC match, the free kick that opened the scoring in that one. Didn't quite make the top 5 for us, but it certainly could have. Would not argue with anybody having that in their own top 5. And just, I mean, again, he's the only guy on our team who's ever hit a free kick goal, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
we
back to 0.
We had the live stream back to 0. We had the live stream yesterday, and that LA Galaxy fan jumped in there and wanted a little take on it. And I'm remiss that I didn't fucking be like, you're getting a free kick expert, my friend. You're getting a top tier guy who can not only put it in the back of the net, but put great passes, deliveries on set pieces to your other talented players. So I wanted to make sure that we touched on that a little bit. But are we going to go in reverse order here? 5, 2, 1?
Yeah, let's go from the bottom up. Let's go 5 to 1. So I guess I'll let you do this one because you're the one that brought this to the table. And it made it into our top 5, and I think it's well deserving.
Okay, well, I don't have mine in order, so I was going off you with the master.
I messaged you.
I'm assuming you're talking about the DC here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yes, the number 5th, plead the 5th. Number 5 here.
5th.
Number 5 here. His second assist of that game in the DC comeback. We have so many added variables in here. The legend of Pollo here, coming back. This is this is where that all started, and the comeback to get the win versus the Runes here, and just a hell of a ball. Plays a beautiful dime, sweeping over top the entire defense, and Ruben Gabrielson's there, and he just bops it home. And as you mentioned, when you watch the clip, the entire team hands up, screaming, running, just pure elation. And it was a hell of a ball and a great finish. And it jumped into the top 5 for me because of everything that took place in that game. Sure. Some grit, some tenacity to come back on the road. They confiscated Pollo. We get him back. It all goes from there. So it was a beautiful thing, and happy to have that one in the top 5.
Yeah. I mean, other things in that game, right? You had Danny Houston's first goal for the club, I believe, was in that match.
And he had a turn in that game where
from the top of the box.
Yes, yeah. He is literally facing our goal, and in one motion turns around, bops a left-footed shot that goes off the upper woodwork there and could have been just a crazy strike, but still, we got the job done in the long run.
Well, I'm sorry, Danny. This is maybe one day the top 5 Danny Houston moments. Maybe we'd have to really scrap to get 5 of them. Yeah, man. And you mentioned like the celebration there when we were watching that clip back, just like the just elation in unison from all the guys in the shot there. You haven't really seen that. We haven't had a goal really that big, that meaningful yet this season, I don't think. So we haven't really seen that type of full team celebration.
Yeah, it's a great one. Going back and watching some of these highlights.
Yeah.
It was just nice. And like the atmosphere and the reaction to Diego goals or assists was, it was just fun to relive.
When we'll stick with assists here, number 4, the assist to Driussi in the RSL playoff match, right? Assisted our first ever playoff goal. And man, that one too is just so, it just embodied, I think, what last season was between those two guys who both, in our opinion, should have been all-stars. Obviously, Diego was right on that fringe, but him picking his head up, finding Seba on the run there to pull one back against RSL. It's another one of those goals that Diego contributed to that was historic in terms of firsts for this club. So I thought that was another good poll by you. You brought that one to the table. Anything else you wanted to say about that one? Because you weren't in the stadium for that one. Remember, you were up for Pete's wedding, right?
Yes, I was not there. We were watching that game in the back seat of a rental car, driving to Long Island on my phone with like dog shit service, and we were able to grow the legend there and bring some Northeasterners into the Austin family. But just a great ball, just like a killer ball, and Seba just gets up there and killer instinct, bangs it home, and like you said, he's got fingerprints all over the short history of this club. Everything is one removed away from Diego, if that.
Right.
So it was a great goal, and I remember just cheering my ass off in the car and being like, "Come on, baby, come on, we can get there." So yeah, that one's on there for me. I'll let you take number 3 as well, because I think that you have a bit more of a connection with that one, and
sure.
It felt better for you.
Well, and I would say, just to finish up on our personal note from that RSL game in the playoffs, I will always remember me and Jose, who had taken your ticket for that game, FaceTiming with you guys after the shootout when we were in the stands, and couldn't hear anything that was going on, but a good moment nonetheless. So yeah, number 3 here for us is Diego's equalizing goal against FC Dallas last season in the regular season up there in Frisco, because that was the Copa Tejas clinching goal. And, look, I understand it's just a supporters trophy, this and that. We've been through it. We want Copa Tejas every year, and that was the first time we had ever won it. And obviously, you and I think, planning on being there in a couple of weeks to try to do it back-to-back in Frisco's. Well, it might be in the parking lot again. But no matter where you were watching that match, I know we were on the edge of our seats. I remember we were all, a lot of our close buddies were at my house down here in South Austin. We were watching, and we went nuts when that goal went in. And I remember Diego, the look on his face when he's running away, because I think he grabs the ball out of the net and runs towards some of the Dallas fans, and he punts the ball in the air, and he looks back over his shoulder with just this like wry smile towards Martin Potts, like, got you, motherfucker. Like, this is our supporters trophy. Never forget it.
Nope, neither will I. An absolute beauty of a strike, and just, it's just awesome to be able to do something like that and then elicit reactions all across Texas from people like us just watching the game. So coming in at number 2, might be number 1 on a lot of people's lists, and I don't think that we could argue it. I don't want to necessarily say we thought it was a cop-out to go with this here at number 2.
It's the easy choice, right?
But it's the easy choice, yes. It's the easy choice. So the first ever goal for the club up there in Verde, in what was the first ever win for the club. Not his most spectacular goal of this short list that we have here, but obviously one of the most impactful and one that will go down in history when we're looking back at this club in 50 years, 100 years, however long we live. What do you think you got left?
23.
23 more years?
Yeah.
All right. I think
56 feels right.
Yeah, I think that's about fair. So the impact from that one and to grow the legend from that first goal was, it's just, I might cry.
Here's some good here's my math skills in full effect. If adding 23 years to my current age, I would be 55. So
you'd be 55th.
Oh golly. I'm gonna add another honorable mention because as we've been sitting here, I just thought of this one and how happy it made me. And I think what jogged my memory on this was the We Are Austin TV. They did a little video tribute themselves this morning. The second goal against Portland in the first match at home that we scored, like right after Johnny G's first goal at Q2, Diego picks up that loose ball and slots the second one home
and turns around.
Look, I know that the first goal, I know that is the first, it's the first goal at home, right? The first goal at Q2, that's a different story. But that second one in quick succession was okay, this was not just a fluke. This team is playing well. We got 2 goals now. And I remember I will always remember turning to you and you were flipping shit after that second goal. Obviously the first one, hugs all around, everybody's going crazy, but we were just on a different level. That second goal, the one that Diego put home in that 4-1 win. So I did want to touch on that as we went here.
That was on my short list too. I remember that one. He turns around in the box it's a deflection. And he does the turn with the left foot and that's that.
Yeah. So that number one for us is the first free kick goal in club history against the Houston Dynamo at home last year. And I think for us, obviously this will be high, I think, on most people's lists if they were to list out their top 5. But for us, that goal, not only was it awesome in the moment, our buddy captured it on video, and it lives in our intro video for every episode that we do. So that goal, it holds a little bit of an extra special place in our heart. So that's our number one there. The first free kick goal in club history, and coming against Houston, couldn't be better.
It holds a very special place in their hearts too. I tell you that, because they like bringing that video up when we play them. Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. First, last, and most, at least right now, and until next season. So better luck in 2024, Houston. So those are our top 5 Diego moments of his tenure here in Austin. Number 1 for us, that free kick goal against Houston. Number 2, Verde. Number 3, the Copa Tejas clinching goal last year. Number 4, his assist against RSL in the playoffs. And then number 5, the game-winning assist in DC last year. So, man.
That's great. And
I'll tell you what. Doing that exercise did not make this any easier to fucking say goodbye, man. That's making me emotional.
Yeah, no, I know. I kind of got caught up there for a second. The only person who could have a list that looks somewhat like this is probably Seba.
Yeah. But I mean, we could dig for other players.
Yeah, right? But I'm saying on the short list of Austin high school mixtapes, we'll call it. This is way up there. And
how many guys are going to have an honorable mention list? Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then on the sour part of it, which there's nothing from 23 in there, and there wasn't really anything from 23 that you could look at and be like, all right, we could, this stacks up on his all-time. That's
a good point. Hey, man. Yeah. I guess that's a good segue. Look at you.
That's what I was going for.
Into some of the
way to read the room.
Into some of the negatives that come along with this, especially in the fan base, especially for our emotions, and trying to sort through this. And again, I guess we should preface all this talk with we both are right there with everybody who are not happy that Diego Fagundez is gone. one of our favorite players, always will be a club legend. I'm not telling anybody boo if Diego Fagundez gets a statue outside of Q2 Stadium one day. I think, I don't think that's crazy.
No.
But there is so much more context involved in this move. So from our perspective, let's talk through some of that.
Yeah, there's just so much more context in this. That's not just our attachment to one of our favorite players.
Right. So I guess let's start here. Obviously, we tried to get through, talk through, discuss as much of these aspects around this move as possible on yesterday's live stream. So maybe try to narrow it down here. Let's talk about that GAM that's coming back, because I've seen a lot of good jokes about the GAM is nice, the cap space is nice, but GAM can't play on the wing. GAM ain't coming out to pick up to hang out with the fans. He's not going over to Hop Squad, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's well and true, but GAM can be used to get someone who can play on the wing.
For sure. Well, and more importantly, what we were talking about yesterday was in this trade, the $300K in guaranteed GAM that's coming back to Austin. We were under the impression that would have to be used in this calendar league year, which I think we can be excused for assuming that, right?
Yeah.
But apparently that's not the case when allocation money is acquired rather than just what is allotted to each team at the beginning of the season. So let me try to pull up this.
And I mean, that makes sense to me, right? Mm-hmm. Because when you're existing in this environment, this ecosystem that is MLS, if you're making these deals to acquire GAM and stuff, you don't want to put a hard fucking cap on it where it's like you have 2 days to spend this money. And I mean, now when you look at the trade from the bird's eye view even more so, it's like, okay, that's another bonus that this isn't something that we now need to just turn around and flip, because then that would devalue it, because other franchises and organizations would understand that we've lost our leverage there. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And I know that you have like the breakdown, like we can have it for 3 more windows.
Well, so here is the wording. General allocation money must be used within 30 days of the close of the 3rd full MLS transfer window after it was acquired.
So that's
so to me that reads as, what's that?
It's like 18 months.
Essentially, because it says 3rd full MLS transfer window. So I imagine we acquired it yesterday. This transfer window ends today. This is not, I don't read this as full transfer window.
No, it's not.
So 3 more. So we've got winter, summer, winter.
Yeah.
So how we're reading this is that the $300K plus whatever up to 900 based on what Diego does out there with the Galaxy, that will be available for the team to put to use for sure through the 2024 season. And then it looks like into that winter transfer window approaching the 2025 regular season. So that, I mean, again, it's not going to make me feel better about not having Diego here anymore. But in terms of what we thought about that money yesterday, that does make me feel better.
Absolutely. And it's just another talking point to the idea that this is not a reactionary, short-sighted, knee-jerk reaction to anything. This is a long-term strategy, vision play to reshape this roster. And again, that's not going to make people feel better that we're not going to have 14 out there when we go play St. Louis. And I get that. I understand that. But this is anything but a reactionary take, particularly to a disappointing result in Leagues Cup. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way. And I saw the Goodman article, and the Goodman article was dog water. Like, call this,
sorry, go ahead.
Just to call it a reactionary, knee-jerk, like embarrassing kind of move that this took place, that we just decided because we lost to Juarez, like, hey, man, like, fuck Diego Fagundez. No, man. No. That to have that mindset is short-sighted because we just brought in one of the greatest minds in soccer to reshape this roster. So there is no way he came in and said, hey, let's just cut the head off of the fan favorite here, get him out of town because we had a disappointing showing in Leagues Cup when in the first game we didn't have a single DP on the field. So come on, miss me with that shit. And this to know that this 300K GAM is spendable moving forward and that we have it in the bank account ready to roll signals to me that this is something that we did strictly from a business decision, regardless of the relationship between Josh and Diego. And if it was strained, if there was tension, could that have come into play? Absolutely. For sure. Yeah. Could it have been part of the deciding factor where it was like, well, yeah, also this has gone on? Maybe. I don't know. But to think that this is anything other than a long-term decision, business move to upgrade this rock, we're not just sit on this money. Right. Like, we're not just going to hold on to it. Right. Like, we didn't just trade him for cash. So, we have a vision in sight, and I know that we're going to get into this a bunch going forward here that this roster is going to look real different coming up. People need to brace for a lot of their favorites no longer being on the club.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, we'll get into all that here. And just wanted to read the rest of this text regarding general allocation money and when it expires. So if a quantity of GAM is not used within that 3 transfer window time frame, it is halved by the league. That halved amount is then available to use for the next 2 windows. So it doesn't all go away. Even again, the club's going to use that money.
We don't even need to get to that point.
But and then if you get past those additional 2, then the quantity is no longer available for use. But there you have it. There's the GAM rules, and we'll try to add that to the glossary in our brains that's tumbling around up there, and hopefully remember that going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, with that information and that knowledge, now everyone, go ahead and look at the package. Memo Rodriguez and nearly $2 million availability.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, assuming that Diego goes out there and hits whatever metrics there are. I think he will, because the Galaxy are making this move to have him play out that contract, I think.
Absolutely. Again, they didn't just be like, we'll take him.
Right. Well, and again, like the international transfer ban, the sanctions they have on them currently probably also played a part in this move. But I don't think they're just, like you said, they're not just taking on Diego on this contract and not going. They're not going to start him. Don't have big plans for him on that team. So I think we're going to get most, if not all, of that additional $600K. And you combine that with what the cap hold coming off the books, because he's on the TAM extension, right? So I think the cap hit is $650K, right around there. So we're looking at upwards of 1.5 mil. I think I saw earlier today somebody throwing around like 1.7 mil. Plus those TAM dollars that we were using to buy his contract down, those are also going to be freed coming in the future. So again, you got the 3 DP spots, but then you have that TAM money to be able to pay somebody above that max contract.
And I mean, look, if Memo doesn't work out, he's on a 1-year, 200-something K deal.
Yeah.
So you could theoretically move on from that as well. And then, you're looking at about $2 million.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned the long-term move, the long-term aspect of this, right? What are the short-term effects in your mind? Because a lot of folks I've seen, and I disagree with this take, a lot of folks are saying, well, this signals that we're giving up on the season, that this is kind of saying this is like a tank type of move if you're talking, in NBA terms. I'll give my take in a minute. What do you think about that? What are the short-term effects of the Diego trade?
The short-term effects are going to be, one, there's going to be a lot more concerned players in the locker room.
Sure. Yeah.
You're not safe.
This is a shot across the bow from Rodolfo.
Yes, exactly. You're not safe. If this was a move that we made because Diego didn't have a good performance in Leagues Cup and we didn't have a good performance, we would have traded Brad Stuver the next day if that was what we were doing. Like, that's so stop it. Like,
Yeah.
stop it. So, I mean, of course it's going to have a negative impact on the players' morale, how they feel. But guess what? They're fucking professionals. And this is the unglamorous side. Everyone wants to talk about what people get paid to play a game, to do this. It's not a real job. Come on. This is the unglamorous side of it all. So there are going to be ramifications, I think, in terms of morale for the guys. With that being said, if people can just remove their emotional attachment from Diego and look at what he has done this season.
Yeah.
2 goals, he has 1 assist. If we kept him,
I think it's the other way. I think. I'll double check. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
If we kept him, and you made this point the other day, like, how much higher is our ceiling with him on the team versus without him? And we can clearly say we are not an MLS Cup winning team with Diego on the roster. We have factual proof and evidence of that. And
sorry. I pulled up his player page and it says midfielder LA Galaxy. God damn it.
Yeah, man. I saw that. I saw that earlier today too. And so it's versus, were we an MLS Cup team with him on the roster? No. Are we an MLS Cup team without him on the roster? No. Guess what? They only give out 1 MLS Cup a year. So unless we want to get some sort of participation trophy for finishing 3rd or 7th, it's really kind of the same situation. So no, this is not a tank. Tanking doesn't necessarily exist in this league. You're not trying to stockpile draft picks to go grab somebody in the Generation Adidas draft.
There's never a Wemby. There's never a LeBron, because they go elsewhere.
They have been found.
Yeah.
They were snatched up at 10 and they are in their academies. So that doesn't exist in this league. And again, that's just an emotional reactionary take to being upset. And I get that. But at some point we got to have this dust settle. And this being the very next day, I'm not anticipating any sort of dust to completely settle.
Of course.
And the lingering effects of this will absolutely carry on into the St. Louis game, and it will carry on into the first game back at Q2. And the most negative thing that has come from this is just the fans.
Yeah.
Like to be on Memo Rodriguez's introduction post and saying, go fuck yourself. Man, there's only one person who looks bad in that situation, dude, and it's you. You are the one who is just outing themselves as someone who has not followed professional sports, who does not understand how this works, who doesn't get this is a business, and your best friends, that doesn't mean anything. So.
Yeah, in terms of the Memo welcome post that was just brigaded with Wolf out, fuck this sucks, you suck. It's like, man, this is our guy now.
Exactly.
If you're a supporter of this club, you can say that shit so many other places. You're gonna say it where Memo can fucking see it? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's a bad look, man. And then don't be
childish.
Don't be chanting Verde hasta la muerte, bro.
Exactly.
It's not Verde Sans Diego. Like, so like, come on, man. It's a bad look. So the most negative impact, and I think we knew this initially, was just going to be the blowback from the fans here in Austin and wherever else we have fans.
Right. Wait, we're worldwide, baby.
Yeah.
Especially North Dakota.
Okay.
So sorry, I just for you, I have to go into what that reference was. There's like a map that I don't remember what outlet put out where it was the most searched MLS teams in that state. North Dakota is Verde. So there you go.
All right. North Dakota.
So Diego, 2 goals, 2 assists in the league so far this season, but 2 goals and an assist coming after the halfway point of the season. And again, he did not play his first full 90 this year until Mazatlan. So
wow.
Yeah. But again, this like
he was hurt.
Yeah, he had the injury period, right? And some of these games, right? 81 minutes against Dallas in the 3-0 victory, 80 against Houston, 3-0 victory. If those games are competitive, he's probably playing 90. So just to be fair to him, I think it's more appropriate to talk about the portion before the injury where he was not in the shape that he needed to be coming into this season to live up to not just the contract extension that he signed, but to hold up his end of the bargain to his teammates and his coaches and everybody involved, top to bottom.
And look, it's fair to be critical of the move when you're trying to solely base it on performance this year, because we have a laundry list of players who have been underperforming this year. But again, it comes back to the business element of this and what type of asset return you can get for moving one of those underperforming guys. And again, Alex Ring, DP, or not a DP, I'm sorry, what the fuck is his contract?
Who, Alex?
Yeah.
He is on a DP deal.
Okay,
but
yeah,
it's I think it's called TAM level DP, where he's in the range where you can buy him down with TAM.
There was some caveat that I remembered that I couldn't put my thumb on there, but yes, a
Sure.
DP contract takes up a DP roster designation on your team. He's on an expiring deal. He's 30.
I don't know off the top of my head.
32 years old. Nobody wants that. He's been hurt all year.
Correct.
Nobody's taking that deal. You're not getting anything back for that, so you can't move that. Now let's move on to Rodney Redis, and the question keeps coming up. Rodney Redis is still on the team, but Diego's gone. Well, yeah, man. Rodney Redis is a U22 spot. Nobody wants him in the league.
Yeah.
Nobody's
he's on $400K.
He's going to be a free agent next year anyway. So nobody's going to say, here, let me give you $20 for this useless, like this thing that'll become available that I don't have to give up anything for next year, even if I wanted it in the
even
first
if you wanted it. Yeah.
And then you move to Rigoni, and people keep saying, oh, well, Diego's gone, but Rigoni's still here. Again, he's a DP. Nobody wants him in MLS. Nobody's paying his contract in MLS. So there's so much more going into this. This was not a personal attack on Diego.
Yeah.
This was not a personal attack on his family. It was a business move to try to upgrade this roster with the backing of one of the best soccer minds in the world.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think I don't have too much to add in terms of like the short-term effects here. But I will echo what I kind of bantered about on the live stream yesterday. I think it's very clear, or at least I would push back on somebody who tried to make the argument that the ceiling of this team did not come down at least a little bit with this move for this season.
It did.
But I don't think my expectations have changed that much because, to what you pointed out, the 2023 form of Diego was just not like what winger pairing that we've run out this year, whether it's Diego and Emmy or Diego and Finley or Diego and Rodney or Rodney and Finley and Rodney and Emmy and Finley. What pairing has stood out above the rest?
Absolutely.
All of our guys have been at replacement level this season. And obviously you had maybe a game and a half where Emmy looked real good on the left there in the middle of May. Some other big names were missing. Ethan Finley has had stretches of form where he looks like he should maybe be one of our DPs. But like at the end of the day, I just don't see, again, for what you have done for us lately, and fair or not, that's professional sports, man. Yeah. And I don't see where when we're adding Memo Rodriguez to this depth chart, and now you and I both think CJ Fodre up with the first team now, most likely for good. That's another winger. So like we haven't like lost bodies. If anything, we've added them because we called CJ up.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that the talent level is higher now, but in terms of just like bodies on the depth chart and how they've been performing this year, there's no statistical drop off here. And if there is, somebody please make that argument to me, because I've been asking around, what is the statistical or the salary cap / financial argument against this move? And nobody's made it. Every argument is emotional, and we fucking get that. But there's again, the context surrounding this move is so much more. And so I think in terms of the league, the short-term effect, nothing has changed for me. We are still on the precipice where like, yeah, we're in fifth. That's great. We can see the top four. We can the 9 and the 10 is much closer right now than the 4, at least in my mind. And so like that doesn't change much for me. I still think this team is going to make the playoffs. I still think this team should make the playoffs with the players that remain on this roster. But again, I guess just short-term effects. I don't think it changes much for me outside of the fact that maybe the chances are raised. The chances are lowered that we could possibly win MLS Cup. Like you said, we're already super low. The chances of missing the playoffs are probably slightly elevated right now. But everybody who was fucking, whether you're a wolf out or a wolf in, I think pretty much everybody thought we could still miss the playoffs. So that doesn't change. It's not like we were guaranteed to get in the playoffs and now we're not. You guys already thought that.
Yeah, shit. There were some people who were rooting us to not make the playoffs.
I've seen motherfuckers in chats today say, I hope we don't make the playoffs. That's clown fucking behavior. And if you think you could go out there and say Verde, hasta la muerte and say that, you're a fucking clown, man.
It's crazy, man.
Insane.
Yeah.
Anything else on long-term effects, short-term effects? I feel like we've talked enough about the long-term. Like the cap space is open. Rodo's going to cook. I guess we could add in Matt Doyle talking on Extra Time yesterday because, of course, they discussed this trade. And what Matt Doyle said, just a little blurb of what they were discussing. He said, this Austin roster is going to get remade. Rodolfo Borrell did not come from Europe to twiddle his thumbs and not make a roster in his own image. This is the start of something that's going to be significant and probably happen over 3 or 4 transfer windows, which I think is spot on. I don't always agree with Matt Doyle, but I think he's got this one. I think he hits the nail on the head right here.
Yeah, and look, we talked about this months ago in regard to the inefficiency of the contracts on the roster in regard to the production on the field, and that there are outlying bad contracts, some of which are so bad that we can't trade them.
Right.
We just need to wait for them to expire. And I understand that means that this process gets longer. I get that. We can go back to the Reyna bullshit and how that pushed our timeline back as well. And look, I was somebody who said I thought that this club needed to do right by the guys who have continued to fight this season and have played through injuries and have played with backups up and down the field to make a move to make us better, to push us into that upper echelon. And that was what I personally wanted. And you know what that means in an Austin FC meeting? Jack shit.
Yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't mean anything what I wanted. Right. And this is, we have gone not the complete opposite direction of what I wanted, but we have obviously gone down a road that I was not forecasting, nor was it one that I necessarily would have wanted in the first place. But now that I have a chance to look at, now that you put this is a big puzzle, y'all. This is not just one thing that is being set in place. There are all kinds of things that we are putting into place. You have the puzzle of Rodolfo Borrell. We have secured the supporting director position with one of the best, the highest profile sporting director in the league. This is the messy signing for sporting directors in MLS. Yeah. This is what that was like.
Yeah.
That. So we have that piece in place. Now we have, taken this Diego spot and we've opened up some more spaces for ourselves to put other pieces into place. And I know that, exercising patience in a sports season is difficult. Look, we're going to have to, because look, we'll get into it. I don't know if we're getting into it now, but there's going to be a lot of faces off this club that or faces on this club that will no longer be here come winter.
We can do that. I think another time.
Yes,
we've got episodes coming up. We've got plenty of time still. 18 days till the next first team match, and 2 episodes a week until then. So, 2 other things, and I don't think we need to touch on this too long, especially this part. I saw a lot of discussion coming out, and look, I get it, and it's great. This part of the reason why Diego is so beloved is that the connections that he made with fans, whether it's people in supporters groups or otherwise. Apparently I see a lot of the people who are, connected to Diego, and good on you, talking about the phone call that Diego got when he was told about the trade. First of all, I don't think many people, or at least these people who are trying to make this as some sort of like grand fuck you gesture from Josh Wolf and the club. How do you envision a trade call going down, or a player who's getting cut, or anything like that? Have you hopefully you as a listener have never been fired, or at least that's been a minimal experience in your life. How did that go down? Were you able to sit there and ask questions and smile and laugh? No, because it's a fucking business transaction. And the sentimental stuff, if that wants to be included in a parting of the ways, whether it's coach to player, teammates, fans, whatever, that comes later, man. The fucking phone call where it's you're traded. Here's where you're going. Here's your contact info for the LA Galaxy in this situation. That's it. Call's over, man. And I guess again, I have experience from coaching experience where you have to cut guys. You have to tell guys that like this is not going to work out, and those conversations are fucking tough, whether I like the kid or not. And so again, I just think there's a little bit of delusion from some fans on what that is supposed to look like. I also think that playing a game of literal telephone from Diego, who reportedly was at HEB when he got the trade call, I imagine he didn't conference in his parents or his friends or whomever. So he's playing telephone from a very one-sided emotional viewpoint of what just happened to his family, his friends. They're disseminating it to other people, and somewhere along the way, some of these fans get a hold of what happened. So like, look, I'm sure the call was not pleasant. And of course, the result of that call is emotional. Diego did not want to leave, right? No. But to take what, especially a player's parents, I don't care who it is, a player's parents, to take their word on something that did not go well for their kid in their career, to take their word on what happened, their emotional word, distressed word, and try to put that out there like that's some sort of gospel or that's like against the coach who, look, man, motherfucking Josh is doing his job making that phone call. He's not supposed to sit there and explain, especially if you believe that these two guys didn't get along.
Yeah.
You think Diego asked Josh Wolf, well, man, that stinks. Can you tell me why? You think that was his rhetoric?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, let's fucking grow up here and try to live in the real world. The fucking phone call that takes place between a club and a player when they are moved, no matter if it's traded, cut, whatever, it's a business fucking call. And it's just some of the shit that we've seen today is absolutely silly.
Yeah. I mean, people do crazy shit after breakups, and this is a breakup.
Well, and I'll say this. There's never a time where it's good to get bad news.
Exactly. And
I don't give a fuck what you're grocery shopping, you just had a kid, this and that. That's unfortunate. But yeah. Okay, so when are we gonna we're gonna make a little bed of pillows, let Diego lie his head down, we're gonna whisper the news into his ear? What the fuck do you expect?
Yeah, and it's also disrespectful to Diego.
Yeah, for sure.
I think is honestly disrespectful to Diego, who's been a professional since he was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. So I think he knows how to handle it. And again, there is no good way to do that. And in the list of athletes who have been traded and received the phone call, I can assure you that this is pretty timid, pretty tame to take the call while you're grocery shopping. Some dudes get traded while they've been suited up and they're on the fucking bench ready to play. They get shipped out.
Bro, in baseball trade deadline was yesterday. There was like 16 dudes that got traded an hour before their game.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Yeah.
And just like on Josh, man, like there's so many like legitimate things we think that like where you can have an actual conversation about the merits of what he's been doing as a coach. Mm-hmm. Yesterday's just not one of them, man. Rodolfo Borrell is the fucking sporting director, and everybody wanted him, and everybody was hyped when he came in here. And so when he starts fucking cooking, you can't just be like, but wait, not like that. Yeah. That's not what we meant.
Yeah, not him.
That's fine. And look, again, the emotional side, we fucking get it. Mm-hmm. But you got to live in this professional sports reality. And I think, and I will excuse anybody who it's their first time being attached to somebody like this, being attached to a team and a player and having something like this happen. Welcome to professional sports. Welcome to the heartbreak that every team but one feels at least once a year.
Yep. This is part of the contract, baby. You want to be a diehard fan, you want to be a lifelong fan, this comes with the territory.
And look, man, when Josh talked about Diego, we talked about how he shouldn't have been bringing up his contract, no matter what Diego did on the field, no matter him coming in out of shape, what have you, he shouldn't have done that, right? And so there's plenty to criticize about him in the first part of the season. After that Diego injury and he came back, in my eyes, maybe somebody can correct me if they think I'm wrong. Josh Wolf played Diego Fagundez every fucking minute he could once he got back to full fitness.
Yep.
He started every game since he was fit. He's been like, I just don't know what. It's like, again, these guys are probably not best friends. But there is very much a one-sided information flow coming out about that relationship right now. It's all coming from the players' camp. And look, man, there's two sides to everything. And the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. For as gung-ho comparatively as we are for this head coach and the coaching staff as a whole, compared to a lot of the super online portion of the fan base, the truth is somewhere in the middle of what the people in Diego's camp think happened and what actually happened. And some, I guess, whoever would maybe be hearing something from Josh's side. But
yeah,
it's exhausting.
And also, like, does anyone get to go in their job and make a decision that's going to impact the entire organization and then they just don't talk to their boss about it? Do people get to do that where they work? Because to assume that this was a one-person decision, that there was only one person involved and his name is Josh Wolf, is absurd, man. It's just absurd. And I don't understand. Now, look, so it's like we're picking and choosing what we want to believe from Rodolfo Borrell. We're not going to believe him when he says that Josh is part of the reason why he came here. Mm-hmm. So, like, we're not going to believe that. But we will believe that when it was July 1st and he said that he wasn't going to be involved right away, that now 30 days later, that was gospel. He's not doing anything. When do you think he started, y'all? Yeah.
Has he been sitting on his fucking hands for a month? Because if he is, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Let's look. I'm glad you brought that up because I got that video right here, and a lot of people were pushing this like, well, Anthony Precourt said he wasn't going to be involved in this transfer window. Yeah, man, maybe at the beginning of July for the discussions the team had already been having, and Sean Rubio and Josh Wolf and Anthony Precourt were having. Yeah, sure. This is a month later. Yes. And if you think that this Diego trade that they've been talking and trying to push this, why did he play in the Leagues Cup? Yeah. Why would we, if we were talking with the Galaxy about a trade, why would we risk that? If the team thinks that getting back all of this GAM and the cap space and Memo is
part of the key to our future success.
Yes. So let's watch this clip and let's talk about it.
Josh Wolf said they're looking into two players in the league and two outside of the league to possibly join Austin FC. How involved are you in that process? I mean, you just landed yesterday, so I'm sure those conversations are, now getting into your ear. And as you said,
let me take the first shot.
Sure.
At that one. Rodo's here to impact us long term and future transfer.
Well, there's here to impact us long term. I think that's already happening.
Windows. This transfer window would probably be unfair for him to make too much of an impact.
Too much. Not no impact.
Yeah.
Too much.
Can't sign off on anything.
Yeah, and because this trade was not in the works then.
Exactly. And I mean, she literally says it right before there. I know you just got off the plane.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's keep going.
Again, going back to it, we have a great existing leadership in Sean Rubio and Josh Wolf, and there's a lot of plans. It takes time to prepare for a transfer window. There's been a lot of work to date for the summer transfer window, and there will be some incoming players. But Rodo's just landed, so I wouldn't say he's going to have the responsibility of this transfer window.
Well, but having said that, I've just landed. It's true, as you mentioned last night. We obviously have held some sort of conversations, very little ones.
We've held conversations. Again, it's not nothing, but I think that the rational takeaway from this, and you may disagree here, is that Anthony Precourt is trying to not throw the entire weight of the job onto Rodo 5 minutes after he got off the plane, essentially, right? I know it's not 5 minutes, but again, he's trying to temper the fan expectations for a window where we expected, it seemed like, to really just kind of get one, maybe two players, and that's what happened. Craig and Hedges in terms of the transfers, right? And then we have the trade pop up. Any other thoughts?
We knew that we had played spinning before he got here. We knew
Yep.
that stuff was up in the air while he was out winning a goddamn treble over there.
Yeah.
Like he was doing other stuff at that point in time. So yeah, I would assume that these deals that we had been in discussions with other teams that may have come to fruition or may have not. Hedges, Redis, whatever it may be, that he was enlightened about what was going on there. But to think that he would just have no input in this move.
Yeah.
So then what do you think he's doing here?
Yeah. Also, I guess I don't think we said this already. Like, Josh is absolutely involved in this decision. It's not like this is all Rodolfo Borrell either. But like in that room, I think it's very safe to assume that it is Borrell, Wolf, Rubio, Precourt, and then probably some other people that just really aren't that high profile in the club. I'm not sure, but like that group is working together. But there is a man in charge, and his name is Rodolfo Borrell. He is the one greenlighting every move now, right? You have to get check marks from the other guys in that room, but he's the one. If he didn't think that this move was a good idea, it's not happening.
No, there's no. If he didn't think that this move was a good idea, and Josh Wolf did do it on his own, like,
look, I don't think we need to watch the rest. Of this clip. But I guess I'll finish with two other points about the Wolf Diego relationship. Not going to make the case, of course, that it's all sunshines and rainbows here today. Or really any time in the last few months since the season started. But Diego Fagundez had the best season of his career under Josh Wolf. Josh Wolf and his coaching staff put Diego Fagundez in situations to succeed to a point where not only did he have his best year statistically, this man got the biggest contract of his career. And you know who was the acting sporting director, at least half of it when he got that fucking bag? Josh fucking Wolf. So, like, look, man, this guy has what he has because of his working relationship with this coach. So everybody needs to take a fucking breath, man. Like, you gotta fucking relax about this shit.
You're cursing a lot today, baby.
Well, it's an emotional day. Maybe I need to take a chill pill. And we can go ahead and do that right now. Not going to be the last time we talk about Diego Fagundez. So I'm sure we'll have more stuff for me to, raise my blood pressure with on Sunday's episode.
Look, and if transfer windows down the road lead to us signing some sort of bum and just giving him a terrible contract, then yeah, go off, y'all.
100%. We'll be there with you.
We will 100% be there with you, because that would not be what we envisioned for what needed to happen because of this very difficult, emotional, sad loss that we have all experienced here.
Yeah.
But look, again, guess who's here now? Memo Rodriguez. It's time to be a Memo fan. It's time to give the man a fair shot. He had nothing to do with being involved in that trade. And I would imagine that when he got a phone call and said, hey, you're leaving LA and you're going to Austin, I would imagine that he wasn't too thrilled either. And I don't think that him and the coach were like, hey, man, like after this, we'll go grab a beer. And it's like, chill out. Like, nah. And look, to your point about Josh at least partially being involved in the decision to help Diego get paid. It sounds like there was some tension between the camps. And again, I'm pro player all the way. I want guys to get paid. They're the ones who are putting their bodies on the line. They're the ones who have dedicated their entire lives to this sport, whatever sport it may be. I am all for dudes getting paid, right? So if you look at it with Josh and Diego, obviously Josh didn't take into consideration that working relationship and if those two were going to be best friends, because you know what? It's not that important. You don't need to be a best friend with your fucking head coach. You don't have to see eye to eye on everything. What you do need to do is to be a professional. And look, I'm not dumb enough to think that Josh Wolf is infallible. He made some bad mistakes with the Diego contract situation and bringing it up, particularly when some of the stuff that was said in the past was to like, this is a deal symbolizing what he has meant to this club for the entire time he's been here.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, you can see that Josh wasn't basing that decision on an emotional reaction. Now we're just going to flip the script and be like, man, this relationship is so frayed and so strained and so bad that we just had to treat Diego like a martyr. Like that's not the case, man. It's just not the case. And, again, if we don't do shit that is going to make this club better with this money and these open spaces now, then let's go off. We still can't burn it down.
Yeah.
We still can't burn it all down, y'all. We can't fire everybody and bury them in unmarked graves. And like, we got to be,
we reserve that for Michael Boxall.
Okay.
All right, let's talk some Leagues Cup here, because again, the knockout rounds beginning in about 35 minutes. Actually, Inter Miami kicking off the knockout rounds against the Fighting Runes, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll make some bets here in a little bit, but before we get to last business day, let's check in on the leaderboard here in the North End Podcast Listener League. Like we talked about on the live stream yesterday, P. Mike Hayes out in front, 650 points in the group stage. And again, then we've got Josh and Craig and Ramses and Jordy, and then myself and Teddy tied in fifth there. So that's the top 5 or top 7 if you include the ties. I will note that if anybody's listening, if you can, and you've got the 5 seconds, instead of rate reviewing and subscribing to the pod this week, go onto this bracket challenge page, go up to your account settings. You can change your display name so we actually know who this is. Because you see P. Mike H up there. We know our boy, right? But I would like to know. I would like to know who else everybody is. Like I see our boy Yoel right down there. Used to play for me. So we love him. We see Tim down there, and a couple other friends. One person we don't see on this page is E.
Must have been some sort of error.
Yeah. So I mean, we see Tex Constant Craig. I get that one, right? I think this is Lojo here in 8th.
Nice.
Austin there in 6th, right? We know Austin from Twitter. So then E here on the second page. E from Tina, 13th, 490 points there.
Not last.
You're above PJ. So I guess suck it, PJ. Anybody else there? I don't think that I recognize. Like I said, I recognize that Logan from LDR, our boy Brian from the North End, didn't get their brackets in. So shame on you guys. Shame. So again, we'll see. I think P Mike messaged me earlier and was like, I'm glad I'm out in front now, but looking at my bracket, I have 0 chance. So we'll see what everybody's brackets look like. I guess maybe we can look. Yeah, so knockout stage here. Oh, boy. Yeah, I guess you are fucked, P. Mike. For those just listening on the audio, we just pulled up our buddy's bracket here, who's in first. He's got Austin FC as the Leagues Cup champion. So, yeah, indeed, he is indeed out. But, man, that's a real one right there.
That's Verde hasta la muerte right there, baby.
Man, and look, you come out of the group stage 50 points clear of everybody else in the group, and you had Austin winning. I feel like we got to get him some sort of consolation prize anyways, just for that. We'll see.
That's so funny.
Yeah, we'll see whose bracket comes through. Yeah, I think that's about enough of that. Let's talk some Austin FC too. Go ahead.
With that, the Leagues Cup bracket, you can win the Las Voces kit from us, as well as potentially $3,000 from Coors Light.
Whatever Coors Light Leagues Cup sponsor.
Come on, Come on. Yeah. If you didn't fill out a bracket, you can make a knockout one here. $0 to potentially win $3,000. Even terrible gamblers like us know that is a good deal.
Yeah, it's good business.
That's good business, baby.
All right, well, let's try to telepathically get that to everybody right now. Let's take a moment, because this bracket locks in 30 minutes and 24 seconds. So nobody's going to hear this. Let's just take a moment, telepathically put that out there to all of our buddies.
Easterdamus,
right?
At work.
Brackets. All right.
Oh my God.
I know everybody's going to remember. get your
Why
chance.
am I thinking about brackets?
Yeah. All right, everybody. Last business day here. Austin FC 2 coming off the 4-0 drubbing of LA Galaxy 2. Fucking take that, Galaxy.
Preemptive vengeance, bitch.
Exactly. And we're going to get some vengeance here against LAFC 2 because LAFC 2 is in the basement of the Western Conference in Next Pro. 17 points from their 19 matches. 4 wins, 5 draws, 10 losses for LAFC 2. Just 20 goals scored through their 19 matches. 30 goals given up. Of course, you compare that to Austin FC 2, who is on 40 points through 20 matches. A very nice round, 2 points per game with 32 goals for and just 13 against. They are 6 goals clear of the next closest team in terms of goals given up, an 11-goal advantage in terms of goals against compared to Rapids 2 up at the top there. LAFC 2 obviously been struggling mightily this season. I think that is mostly because they have a lot of these guys on first team deals that either play for LAFC or are on the bench frequently. You've got your, I guess, Maxime Crépeau is currently on this roster. Are we going to see Maxime Crépeau play? Hold on. We got to do. Okay. So Crépeau, if people aren't familiar, that's the starting keeper for LAFC, but he broke his leg in 2 pieces in the MLS Cup final. So let's go back through their fixtures and see if he is actually playing with this team. Bench. I would be shocked, man. But maybe they give him a go. He did play. He played against Tacoma.
Oh, wow.
Say if they lost that game, they won 2-1. That is one of their 4 wins on the year. And so you see guys like Mamadou Fall, Julian Gaines, who is the younger brother of Mackenzie, Eric Duenas, Nathan Ordaz, like all these guys who have played with LAFC on this roster. I'm not sure how many of them are going to be with the first team, how many of them are going to be with the second team here. I think my best guess is that Maxime Crépeau probably does not play here as he makes his return. Like, how many games at the Next Pro level does the guy need to, get back in first team form?
Many.
But so, again, this team does not have a ton of goals on the year. They are led by Yekison Suba with 3 goals. Then Christian Diaz and Laji Male both have 2. Christian Torres has the most goal contributions with 4. He's sitting on 3 assists. But the highest FOTMOB rating on this team, Julian Gaines. So, again, shout out to the Gaines fam there. We miss Mackenzie. Yeah, and I hope Julian doesn't do too well against our boys here on Sunday. Again, this is a very winnable match. I think a match that the team, even with the guys that we are missing, whether it's they've been called up to the first team or they're out with injury, I think this is a game that the team should be bringing home 3 points from, or bringing 3 points home with them. What are your thoughts on this match?
I absolutely do not anticipate any sort of let up on the throttle from this Austin FC 2 club. CJ's probably up with the first team for good. Obviously, Valti was shipped out. We're dealing with some other injuries, but still talented up and down this roster. This LAFC club is not good. We have performed against poor teams all season long and have not ever really dropped our play to match that of an inferior club. And I don't think it's going to happen here. In regard to the starting lineup, again, we got options. We got things that we can do in that midfield. We can pivot guys around. We can really switch it up. And this LAFC 2 club is just not good enough to hang with us. You mentioned the goals allowed and our goal differential now. This is the best defense in Next Pro. It's not even a question. Even without Kip Keller, it's still the best defense in Next Pro. And if Maxime Crépeau is on the field, we still might have the best keeper out there. So
good point.
I feel totally confident in our ability to beat this club. And I don't see any way that we, at this stage in the season, have some sort of letdown or let back.
Setback.
Setback. Yes, thank you. Setback or letdown in this game that would result in us dropping points to this inferior club.
Yeah. Honestly, I would like to see Kurt Poe in net because I think it's just a better challenge for our guys. I feel like they would welcome that chance to go up against a talent in net like that.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Berkey was running around with that
right last year, yeah.
last year, so you could see that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we see, like you said, the lineup is probably similar to what we've seen the last couple games. We'll see if Charlie's back. We'll see if David's back. Hopefully they're coming in soon. I would like to see all the young boys, the youngest boys still out there, Ariano and Torres and Deanda, and of course Micah. That was great to see them. And I hope we can start integrating some of those guys who don't play a ton more into the regular rotation and not just in a blowout, right? Not just in mop-up duty.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you're one of the fans who has said that this season for the first team club is over, well, come on down.
Yeah, shit.
Beer is cheaper. The tickets are cheaper.
This is on the road, but
I mean,
next time, come on down.
Time, whenever we get there, we're back home. Like, watch this game. Enjoy this one because this club is great. We got some young dudes from our academy who are some fucking ballers. We got Burton. We brought Deanda up. Like some guys that you're going to be seeing playing under the big lights. You can get to see them now, and you know, we've loved watching this club all year, and there's no way they're going to let us down versus this LAFC 2 club.
Oh, and I'm glad I just remembered this because he definitely he deserves the shout out. Vigo Ortiz, right? The MVP of the Generation Adidas Cup. He got called up to the Mexican U15 men's youth national team roster for the CONCACAF U15 championship. So congrats to Vigo. We love to see that. And man, like all we've seen from this kid is just great stuff. So I hope he's around for many years to come because clearly he's a promising young player. All right, let's close it out here, E, with the score predictions, and then we'll move on to the bets. I know you're not predicting an Austin FC 2 draw or loss against this fucking team. So how much is Austin FC 2 winning by on Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central?
I'm going 2-0, clean sheet for Las. I think 2-0 in a very convincing fashion. Get out to the lead early, and then we don't need to press. Got the best defense in the league. Come try to score on us. Walk away with a fairly easy win. Okay,
yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1. You know, I think there's a chance, especially with LAFC having kind of all of their big guns ready for Leagues Cup and what they're about to go through the knockout stage, because of course this is their debut in the tournament. They got to skip the group stage. So I think we may see some of those guys on the first team deals in fall and Dueñas and the like. I think we may see some of those guys. So I'll give them a goal. But I think our guys take care of business. I think especially if Crepeau is not in net, I think we carve him up for 3. So 3-1 for me, 2-0 for E. 3 points is all that matters. Good luck, fellas. We will be watching. And let's move into the round of 32 picks here on the North End podcast for the Leagues Cup. But first we can recap. We paid homage to Liga MX in our match day 3 picks. We went 7 picks, all in favor of the Mexican teams in those games. 3 misses. Chivas out of the tournament. H down bad. Taking those losses. They're out of there. Tijuana did not come through. Querétaro took them down 1-0. So Tijuana going home. And then Club America fucking spanked, man, by Columbus without Lucas Zelarayan. That was wild to watch.
Yeah. That was a fun game to watch.
Yeah. I mean, especially with, how much the America fans, we were loud after their defeat of St. Louis City. They were loud in the 35th minute against Columbus, up 1-0. These motherfuckers brought out the Olay chance in the 34th minute and get dubbed. And I love to see that, man. Like that was, I was thinking it in the moment. I didn't think that Columbus was going to come back and win, especially in the style that they did. But man, it's too early to be doing that, man. And y'all got what you deserved after doing that.
Look, man, I said and I mentioned on the pod, how elated I was to have those fans take over St. Louis. But man, shout out MLS.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out MLS. Way to hold it down. Way to hold it down there, Columbus. Without Zelarayán, man, fucking Cujo's so good.
Yeah, he is. And they just brought in Diego Rossi to replace Zelarayán. So I don't think they're gonna. They might skip a beat, but I don't think they're dropping down much at all in terms of their outlook. Because man, Wilfred Nancy has those guys humming right now.
Look, they're the dark horse to win the cup for me.
I agree.
Fucking Nagby, man, that dude is just God. He might be the one player in the league that I would just want on our team.
Mm-hmm.
So just more than anybody. So yeah, we're getting off topic here, but I do like that Columbus Crew Club a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Not enough to steal the team from them, though.
No. We had 4 hits out of the 7. Toluca plus 155, Atlas plus 125, Monterrey plus 145. That was a little nervy after they went down 2-0 in the first 6 minutes. And then Tigres plus 140. So plus 2.65 units on the week, E. That gets us down under the negative 30 number, negative 29.44 units on the season. And let's talk about our round of 32 picks. I'll throw it to you first. What do you got?
Sounds good. I am going to Inter Messi minus 110 playing Orlando. That's going to be fun now. I'm excited for that little matchup between those two dumpster state teams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kicking off here in about 30 minutes or so. So in terms of the actual kickoff time, I like that one, of course. Can't go wrong. I'm going to go. Well, yeah, could go wrong.
Definitely can.
Not so far going with Messi, right? Yeah. So we'll look to see that keep going. I'm going to go against that orange disgusting team out there in Houston with Pachuca, who for whatever reason was plus 180 earlier today against Houston. Gobble that up. And I'm going to hammer that, E. That's a 2-unit bet. Pachuca plus 180 at Houston. Lock that in. And back to you.
Damn, we're doing double reverse perfect bets here because I'm riding with the fucking Mazatlan boys.
Ooh.
Playing Dallas. They're undefeated in the state of Texas thus far. We took down their sticker of power.
Yeah.
So maybe we screwed them. But, shit, I'll slap some stickers of Mazatlan over some FC Dallas. So, Mazatlan, you're getting them at plus 400, y'all. Look, we didn't have a single DP when we played them the first time. But then they went out there and they showed that was not a fluke. And they took care of business versus that Juarez club. So, I'm not saying it's a great bet. That's why they're going out at plus 400. But you play the numbers here. And also, fuck Dallas.
Yeah, especially that last part. I will go. We've got a Liga MX showdown here between Pumas and Querétaro. I'm going to go with Pumas plus 115. Just simply the better club. So nice and easy for me. Pumas plus 115.
Look, again, a number that you're looking at for me with Club America, getting them at plus 120 versus Chicago, who I know burnt me the last time that I bet against them. But guess what, y'all? I'm doing it again. That team is fucking good. They should be mad after what happened. They should be pretty pissed off. And now this is when, you lose, you go home. So Club America plus 120, lock her in.
Yeah, and I will go to an MLS team here because it's an MLS versus MLS game. And I do think that Columbus is a fine favorite here. But I like the value with Minnesota at plus 265 going on the road. Like I know that, look, Columbus just took down America in blowout fashion, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm not convinced that until Diego Rossi shows up, like not having Lucas Zelarayán on the field, it's still a good team, but they're not the same. They don't have the same ceiling that they did before they made that move. So Minnesota, Reynoso, and Pookie, and everybody there, plus 265 for Minnesota. I'm going to lock in that value, and back to you.
Looking forward to watching that one.
Yeah,
for sure. Definitely looking forward to watching that match. Back to me, I'm going with a club that has just continually impressed me in Monterrey, getting them at plus 120 versus Portland, who, again, has been up and down this season. They've had a pretty decent showing here in the League's Cup, but Monterrey is a very good team, And we saw it happen when we bowed down to the Liga MX teams here the last time we bet. So no real reason to flip the script on that and go ahead and lock her in.
Going back to a Mexican side here, Tigres is going north of the border to take on Vancouver. If I'm not mistaken, Vancouver hosting this match. And look, I know I see the face, but I'm taking Tigres here. You get them at plus 130. And man, hey, if both, this is kind of unfortunate. I guess I'm just thinking about this on the fly because we have winner tickets on both of these teams. So I believe all of our teams are still in. But one of them for sure going to be eliminated after this one.
God, fuck Vancouver. Are they the last team in that plays on turf for no reason?
Yeah, because Seattle's out.
Yep. Okay.
I think. Not Charlotte. Charlotte's in.
Charlotte's still in?
Yeah. Necaxa dumped out.
Word. All right. I'm going back to my RSL boys. I know they're put in their place in their last matchup versus the Liga MX team, but Leon's coming to town. Again, elevation's a real thing there. And again, that team has a lot of talent, a lot of scoring firepower. And if motherfucking Beavers is in the goal, it's hard to score.
Yeah, we know that firsthand.
It's good, man. It is good. So RSL, I'm sorry, was it plus 125? Oh, plus 145.
Yeah.
Versus Leon. Lock her in.
All right, this is maybe just a little bit backwards here. I snuck this one in, before the stream. Jesus Ferreira is plus 125 to score against Mazatlan. So I know you took Mazatlan to win. Maybe we can hit both. I just think Jesus, we know how many goals he scores for this team in terms of all the goals they score. He's like, I think he's like almost half of them, if not more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Jesus plus 125 to score against Mazatlan. And that will do it for the round of 32 betting pick. So E's got Miami minus 110 against Orlando. Mazatlan plus 400 against FC Frisco. Club America plus 120 against Chicago Fire. Monterrey plus 120 against the Portland Timbers. And RSL plus 145 against Leon. I've got Pachuca plus 180 against Houston. That's a 2-unit hammer. I've got Pumas plus 115 against Querétaro. I've got Minnesota plus 265 against Columbus. Tigres plus 130 at Vancouver. And Jesus Ferreira plus 125 to score against Mazatlan. Those are the round of 32 bets. And just as a refresher, E, here's our tickets for the winners. Tigres plus 1,200, Philly plus 1,400, Monterrey plus 1,200, Vancouver plus 5,000, RSL plus 6,600, Minnesota United plus 8,000. All those teams still in. Well done by you. Well done by me. We'll take it.
Okay. A little pat on the back to ourselves here.
Yeah. Hopefully one of them can come through, get a big bunch of units coming in. And hopefully the round of 32 picks do well also. That'll wrap up episode 78 of the North End podcast. Anything else for you before we get out of here?
Gonna miss you, Diego.
Yep.
Love you, dude. To the Verde fans and the family. We love y'all too, and we got to get through this together. And I think we can do that by supporting Memo and supporting the other players and having some patience going forward with how this club is going to eventually look, in the years to come. So VHLM, have a good week.
Love it. Yeah, love it. No notes. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can hit that subscribe button to help us grow the pod, and you can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up, like yesterday, emergency live stream, or a new episode goes live. And of course, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit the thumbs up button on this video, like the episode, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. We will be back on Sunday recapping Austin FC 2's game against LAFC 2, digging through any other Austin FC news that happens between now and then. I'm sure I will have more, red face inducing rants about things that I see in the fan discourse. It's going to be fun, man. We got a lot of time till the next game, a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of fun stuff coming too. A couple guests, at least one collab with another one of your favorite podcasts. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun time. Like E said, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll catch you guys back here on Sunday. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.